Hey, what's happening, gamers? Welcome to a very special Injustice 2 versus!
Yeah!
So, warning right now, we are about to spoil Aquaman.
Yes!
We are talking all about the new Aquaman movie, so if you haven't seen this movie, go see the movie, then come back and watch this video.
Yeah, go now! Wait, you're still here? Run! Go! We don't want to spoil it for you. We are going to spoil it. Leave now.
Yep. So, we love the movie, it was a lot of fun, and today we're going to be battling with Aquaman and Black Manta because they are the only Atlanteans. So here's hoping that Injustice 3 will get Mira, because Mira would be awesome. Except, I don't know if Mira's alive or not in the Injustice universe.
I want to fight
I forget. I don't know. I may have forgotten if she's, or an Ocean Master would be cool, but he might be gone too. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get Mira. Mira would be awesome.
But technically, you have to remember, Injustice started with the other Earth coming to help the Injustice Earth, and Mira was alive in that.
You'll be the first to die today.
My Trident says otherwise.
Killing you won't take long.
We'll see about that. All right, so
Yeah, right now I'm already noticing something about this Black Manta, which is different than the movie one.
the movie Black Manta was awesome. He was a man of few words.
Yeah, he's actually talking more in this game than he did in the movie.
Actually, for people who've watched Young Justice, like the Black Manta Aquaman in the movie talks more than the cartoon version of the Young Justice Black Manta, and he's a scary dude in that series.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
Black Manta is a man of very few words.
I was just talking to Luke about it, and I was like, well, I was saying, personally, okay, this is what I originally said, because I noticed that the guy who played Black Manta was in some other, you know, famous movies and stuff, and then I was like, that's weird. I was like, why didn't he act more in this movie then? He was in those other movies with Dwayne Johnson and stuff. I was like, why wouldn't, I was like, personally, I was like, maybe they should have gotten a different actor, because he just had angry faces and looked mad at Aquaman the whole time. And then Luke's like,
That's
yeah,
Black Manta.
that's how Black Manta is supposed to be. So basically, what we were talking about is that, you know, no!
Play with the Kraken, Amber!
So basically, like, oh my gosh.
Why you hit yourself?
So basically what happened was, like, basically Black Manta played, the guy who played it, his name, oh my gosh, I cannot pronounce it very well, but, he kind of played the character the same way that Keaton played Batman in his...
Yeah, that's a really good example of that. Like, Black Manta, I mean, he was a very powerful figure. They explained how he gets his, like, I-beams, everything.
Yeah, but where was his villain monologue? Like, why wouldn't he
never
explain?
monologues.
He should explain, like, even at the end of the movie where he has the stage to himself, he could go on for an hour about how much he hates Aquaman and why he needs to do this and everything he did to his dad. But he just says, you know, get me Aquaman, or I don't remember what he said.
Because his entire being is revenge. That's all Black Manta does.
So he just is, like, so consumed, he just doesn't have anything to say.
He's a pirate.
He just wants action.
That's it.
Alright, so basically what we're saying is the guy actually did play Black Manta correctly then. Alright, cool. I can't remember his name, but I looked it up just a second ago.
And battle time. So yeah,
But anyway, you guys can look it up on Wikipedia.
Black Manta was such a cool presence in the movie, but he wasn't the big bad. Everybody thought that Black Manta was gonna be... He's the villain, but the person who stole the show, like, in terms of villainy, was Orm.
Yeah.
Or aka Ocean Master, the little brother of Aquaman.
It's just like in that one Keaton Batman movie where there's the villain, and then there's the real villain. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
saying that he's like Maxwell Shrek?
Well, I'm saying, like, that, like, Black Manta, you know, he's angry, but he's not, like...
He's not the mastermind.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
like
just a pirate.
That other guy was actually using Black Manta to try to get to Aquaman.
I wouldn't say using.
Or, well, he...
I mean, he's planning on destroying the entire surface world, so in a sense, yes, he's probably...
using... Yeah, I don't know if he's using him, but it's like... He's giving him he's kind of like setting him loose on, I don't know. I don't really know.
Setting him loose.
You know what? He gave him all the means to destroy Aquaman. Ah! Oh, I'm sorry. I should have let you do that so for effect. Ah, no! But anyway, so Luke, since we're playing the movie, ouch. So we're, ouchie. So since we're actually playing the movie thingy, are you sure you're not playing as Orm? Because no, I was just saying like when you look at pictures of the movie, like still shots, and you see Orm, it's like if you had never seen the movie or any trailers, you might actually think that Orm was Aquaman.
Yeah,
because he looks just like
he does look
that
just
figure
like him.
right there. He's got the light colored hair, the armor and everything. So and the short hair. Whereas Jason Momoa, you were saying, actually kind of looks like Ocean Master.
Yeah, if you look at the comic book version of Ocean Master, he has dark hair, and Aquaman has blonde hair and blue eyes. So they made the actor Patrick, which they could have had him dye his hair so he'd look like Orm, because the thing that was always interesting about Aquaman from the comics is he stood out. Like, he did not... No one else in Atlantis had blonde hair and blue eyes except for Queen Atlantean.
Oh,
or
right.
the original king.
You'll take that pride to the grave.
Because their genes have been so diluted over like the centuries or millennia or whatever that not really anybody has that royal look to them anymore.
Yep.
So Aquaman, he doesn't look like he comes from a royal bloodline because his genes in this movie take place after his dad.
Yeah, I feel like they did a great job with that because then they had his dad be Hawaiian, which makes sense because then that would make his hair a lot darker and a lot of his features darker and stuff like that. So
well, both actors, the ones who played Aquaman and the father of the lighthouse, they're Hawaiian.
Yeah, and I mean Jason Momoa is like, I know he's part Asian and I don't know what else, but yeah.
He's
something.
Hawaiian, German, and I wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep blocking. You can do your super move. Oh,
I don't care.
I feel bad now.
You hardly ever use your super move.
I know. I need to use it.
Yeah, but Orm, he's not like. I've been reading a lot of people's reviews of him, and they're like, he's kind of like Loki. It's like, no, Loki's reasons for being is just kind of annoying.
Was so powerful that there was no way on planet Earth that Aquaman could have ever beaten him.
Until he got his dad's Trident.
They made that so clear when they were fighting. And the blonde hair and everything even seals the deal that he is his mother's son. You know what I mean? Like, he looks like he is a descendant from her and all of, the Atlanteans and how they look and stuff. Whereas Jason Momoa looks like he does not belong in the way that he looks, in the way that he has not been training under the water, like everything, and that fight scene was great. They set it up perfectly where Orm was just, beating the tar out of Aquaman over and over again, like easily. Like it was so easily. And even Orm gave him a chance, like, hey, because you're my brother, I'll give you a chance to leave. I thought that was really interesting because it made me feel like you could almost see Orm's side of it. A lot of times you were almost like, wow, Orm is just trying to kind of defend his own people exactly how Aquaman would do. He's just being an Atlantean. Like, he's just being like, okay, you're an outsider, please get out of here, you don't know our ways, like, just leave, like, and that's kind of what Aquaman would do. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Orm is acting just like Aquaman, which is weird, so maybe he is Aquaman. No. Maybe we got duped. No. Aquaman is Aquaman.
Aquaman is Aquaman.
I think I feel like we got way off target, but yeah.
That's fine.
But that was great. The scene with him and Orm fighting and the whole thing where he's like, Orm is like a great dancer, blah, blah, blah. He has all these great things. Which actually, fun fact, if you actually go to Orm's wiki page, not Orm's, but Patrick, the guy who played him, he actually does have tons of talents. He sings in a band with his brothers for charity to get, like, servicemen, like, puppies and service dogs. and to get like for kids charities for kids that are in the hospital. He's been on Broadway since like the 90s. Orm has been singing and dancing since the 90s. He's literally.
You like using that word, don't you?
Like,
You're not even fighting back.
like, I feel like Orm must have done, like, if you go to his wiki page, it's like some of the other actors in this Aquaman movie, it's like, oh, they've started in 2016 and they've been in 5 movies. Like, Orm has so many movies that he's been in, it feels like he's been in, like, almost, like, hundreds of things. Like, it's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, he
was an Ant-Man. I don't know what he played, but he was an Ant-Man.
He was an Ant-Man.
But anyway.
Why are you just standing there? It's
I
like
don't know. Fine, I'll fight you. You talk about what you liked about the movie.
You're just standing there.
I don't know what we're supposed to be talking about.
Aquaman, but you don't just stand there. What
I'm
the
not.
heck?
It's hard for me to think and play.
Well, I know chewing gum and walking is difficult,
All
Amber,
right.
but you're really fortifying that blonde
Fine.
stereotype.
You know what? Fine. You want to be destroyed? Fine.
I'm waiting to be destroyed.
Okay. What's happening now?
So, the cool aspect about the movie, besides the whole Orm thing, like Amber said, Orm is trying to protect his kingdom because the surface world has done a lot of stuff. A lot of people say that the movie doesn't tie into Justice League. While no Leaguers show up in the film, it does tie into the movie that happened. Like, Mira mentions that Steppenwolf was defeated, but she says by Aquaman. When, yes, Aquaman and Wonder Woman were fighting Steppenwolf, but it was Superman that wiped the floor with Steppenwolf. Like, it looked like, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they probably could have beat him, and it might have made things a little bit more interesting, but, like, Superman came in and the fight's over after, like, a minute. I mean, it's a huge difference.
Why? Oh, no!
It's so funny. So anyway, yeah. Orm is kind of upset with the world. I believe he uses the pollution thing as just kind of like a way to unite the people of Atlantis, but the surface world has been causing a lot of problems for Atlantis.
I'm not worried.
Hi.
What? What?
Oh, Amber, this is just not your lucky day, is it? Okay, yeah, I deserve that.
You know what? I'm gonna do the Black Manta thing and go dark. Now I'm angry.
I'm gonna do the dark Black Manta dark thing.
I'm just gonna stare at you with my angry eyes.
Yeah.
That's the basic.
Ooh.
Yeah. What he said.
All right. So, where was I? Orm. So Orm, he's trying to unite like all the different worlds of Atlantis. There are 7 kingdoms of Atlantis ever since the New 52 by Jeff Johns, which Jeff Johns did write Aquaman. I didn't know that. I thought that he was strictly like a Flash and some other person, but he really made Aquaman cool. He took like all the really extreme 90s stuff minus Aquaman's hook hand, and he made some really interesting stories. A lot different than pre-Flashpoint. But anyway, there are 7 kingdoms of Atlantis, so Orm, he wants to unite all the different kingdoms. And, okay, that's good. And in order to do that, he enlists the help of some pirates to steal some surface world subs. So Black Manta, the original Black Manta, not the the cool looking sun guy here.
So it's like it's passed down from generation.
Right, but they didn't have Atlantean technology until later in the film. But Black Manta was just like a regular pirate in like black scuba diving gear and stuff like that. They had an army, and they attacked a Russian submarine because Orm needed it, or a client needed it, in order to basically start a war, or convince people that there was a war. And Aquaman shows up at the very beginning of the film, and that's the scene where you see him, like, lift this giant submarine out of the water, showing how strong Aquaman is. You know, it's not just a dude that talks to fish, he literally lifts this thing out of the water.
I know, right?
And then he goes inside and he's like, permission to come aboard, and he has this awesome fight scene.
Because they were gonna kill all those people.
Yep.
Just to get a submarine to start a war, so they were gonna kill innocent people, basically.
Exactly. So Aquaman got the distress call because the remainder of the troops had hid themselves in the crew quarters, and they set out a distress call for the Justice League, and Aquaman shows up.
Oh, yeah, and what I think was great about when Aquaman first appears on the scene, like, well, first of all, you see him swimming, but
They don't mention the Justice League. It's hinted that they were trying to get like a superhuman to come help them.
but it's really cool. What I noticed different about Jason Momoa's Aquaman than anyone else is that he's like smiling. He gives them this smile. He's like having fun. It's like he's Dick Grayson or something. He's having so much fun beating up these people. You know what I mean? Like,
You just give up.
By Neptune, I won't yield.
By Neptune, there's some... Oh, no! Ooh, that was painful. Yeah, Amber had to warm up a bit. We'll say that. Okay, using your jetpack quite a bit, but that's fine.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, back to the submarine thing. Aquaman ends up fighting who will become Black Manta and the father. And, you know, the father and son, before Aquaman gets to where they are, they kind of have like this rite of passage, which is the fishing knife that Black Manta is literally carrying to fight Aquaman in this game. That's the famous fishing knife that he uses to kill people. It's been in his family since World War II or something like that.
Yay.
Yeah, I know. It's a family heirloom. So they have like a moment before Aquaman starts like wiping all the pirates out in a pretty hilarious fashion. I love when the dad attacks Aquaman and you think that he beats him because he shoots him with a grenade inside a submarine, which in all sense should have like sunk the sub. So,
Yeah.
You know, but Aquaman gets shot by the grenade and you think he's down for a little bit. So he's lying there, and then he kind of pulls himself up, and he's like, ouch, and you see him smoking, and they're just like, no way! How did he survive this? Nice. And, you know, at that point, that's where you know the battle is going to change, and, like, these humans are no match for Aquaman. And as the sub is sinking, you know, he's basically kind of like, okay, everybody, let's get off. And Black Manta's dad is like so ticked that the mission's failed and he wants to beat Aquaman that he fires his grenade launcher again, and somehow Aquaman blocks it and a part of the ship falls on Black Manta's dad. And Junior, which is Black Manta, the next one, he's trying to save his dad, and he pleads with Aquaman, hey, you know, you're not gonna leave, you know,
Well,
my dad. And Aquaman's like, you guys killed innocent people and you're, you know, asking for mercy. He says, you can ask the seas for mercy. And that sets up the rivalry between Black Manta and Aquaman.
Yeah, it makes him more like a hardcore, like, hero, because he's not just like, oh, I'm always gonna do the right thing. Like, sometimes Aquaman is just like, you know, like, hey, well, I mean, in reality, though, they were gonna let those they were gonna kill those innocent people.
They were gonna kill the entire crew, and he saves the entire crew.
And also, before that happens with Aquaman's dad, he actually spares Aquaman's dad's life. Like, they're fighting, and he could kill him if he wanted to during battle, but
it's not Aquaman's dad. Black Manta's dad.
Black Manta's
you got
dad.
confused.
Oh my gosh.
The seas conspire against you.
The seas conspire against you, Amber.
Alright. He could kill Black Manta's dad, but he doesn't,
Yeah,
even though
he
that his
harpoons
dad
into a
tried to
wall.
kill him.
Yeah.
And then he lets him go. It was like they had a fight, and he lets him go.
They didn't have a fight. The guy tried to, like, shoot him again, and he threw a spear at him.
No, but I'm saying as he's walking away, then he tries to, like, give him a cheap shot.
Oh, yeah.
Basically. So it's like they already had their fight, and when he's walking away and he's defeated, then he tries to do one more cheap shot, which is kind of, like, I feel like it's dishonorable, but I guess he's just angry he wants to try one last time to kill Aquaman.
Well, I mean, they have a code like the Black Manta group. They don't leave any survivors.
Oh, that's
So,
fine.
I mean, Aquaman kind of upset the pirate code and humiliated the Black Manta, or the Mantas, whatever they're called.
What a cool line, though, when he says, when he finds out that it's his son, he's like, this is your son? And then he's like, you know, like, shame on you for getting him into this business. Like, basically telling the dad, like, you shouldn't have gotten your son into a life of crime, you know? And, like, whoa. So a lot of the lines in the movie had such a big impact on me. I was like, wow, that's the kind of stuff that kind of gets you when you watch the movie. Like, some of these, like, I don't know, aha moments or whatever. Like, wow. Like, I don't know, like, that's a really interesting concept that he would literally... kind of like, there's hardly anyone in a position that would be there to tell that guy what he did was wrong, but Aquaman did. You know, he had no problem telling him.
Yeah, just hitting me with the butt of your gun. Oh.
But yeah, I'm sorry. And then, so basically, yeah, the dad kind of shoots it himself and then traps himself with his own gun, basically, because he sets off something that comes out, pins him, and then he's like, oh, I just tried to kill you. Oh, but can you please save my dad? It's like, even though my dad just tried to kill you, can you come back here and save him? It's like, for me, I don't know. It would be really hard for me to come back and save him too, but at the same time, Aquaman does regret it later on because he knows he could have saved him. Even though that guy did try to kill him, he could have still tried to save him.
I like when he meets the guy, he was like, let's not make this a habit, like when he's fighting the sun. So that kind of foreshadowed what was going to happen later in the movie. But anyway, back to the Orm thing. So Orm is meeting with these different, like, members of the, we'll say the Seven Kingdoms, although there aren't 7 kingdoms anymore. There's only 4. Because 2 kingdoms are gone, and 1 kingdom, known as the Trench, they're, like, mutated like that creature in the background. Except, like, tiny, like, fish people that are basically like fish zombies. So, they're a kingdom that they're not really gonna try to mess with. So, Orm is meeting with Mira's father, from the kingdom of Zebel, Nereus. And they're having, like, this thing about, like, they both don't like the surface world, but Orm wants to unite the kingdoms to destroy the surface world so he can save the 7 seas from the attacks of the humans, or the humans, what word did he use? Their neglect of, you know, nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, the planet, like, they're having to suffer because of everything the humans are doing.
Right, and their people are getting sick from poisons and toxins and all kinds of stuff that, you know, people are dumping in the ocean. And they're saying they're responsible for climate change and all this other stuff. But, pretty much, Nereus is kind of like, well, I don't really want to go to war. And as they're talking, all of a sudden, on cue, like, this Russian submarine attacks them under the water and tries to kill King Nereus.
Yeah.
And then later you find out, wait a second, that's the sub that Aquaman tried to, you know, save when, like, you know, Manta stole the sub.
Well, at least he saved the people. That was the most important thing.
Well, he saved a good chunk of people, yeah. So, anyway, once the sub was pretty much destroyed by Orm, which is a really cool scene because you get to see, it looks like Orm is saving Nereus and gaining his trust by destroying this evil surface vehicle. And it's a really cool scene. Like, I really suggest you guys see it. I'm not going to spoil how he does it.
It's like, oh, how convenient. They were just talking about how he doesn't really want to go to war.
And then all of a sudden,
And then they're like, oh, they're a threat. And he's like, oh, they haven't threatened us. And then suddenly the submarine comes and tries to destroy him.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's also not until after King Nereus joins that another power of Ocean Master is unlocked, and he's able to use, like, tidal wave attacks. That's why the surface world gets attacked.
Oh, right. So every different
Every kingdom that he
he gets more power.
Yep. Somehow. I don't really know how it works, though.
Feels like Atlanteans are just very magical.
Yep, but they also never forgive people. They have, like, they're just really bad at that. So,
Never forgive, never forget.
shortly after this, Mira, against the orders of Atlantis and her own kingdom, since she kind of knows Aquaman, although what people don't understand is the Snyder Cut is an important thing because it would shed a lot on Aquaman and Atlantis and other stuff that was cut from the movie. So Josh Whedon could play Marvel, like, Avengers Justice League, which essentially that's what the movie was.
Yeah.
It was like Avengers Justice League, but with, like, limited color, and it wasn't Zack Snyder's vision at all. But not everything about Zack Snyder's vision do I really like at all anyway. Like, I don't like the fact that he killed Dick Grayson, or, you know, he was gonna go with Carrie Kelly as Robin, and he got rid of all that rich Batman history. And he made Batman Murder Bat, more or less. Not, like, to the extent of Robin in the Titan show that came out this year. That is the most brutal, you know, Bat family vigilante we've seen, like, ever. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, you blocked. What are you worried about? You got that. So anyway, yep, Mira comes to the surface after Aquaman has saved somebody. There's like this little bit of levity to the movie, because you think there's going to be a bar fight, and there's these guys, big butch dudes, who, they go up to Aquaman and they're like, "Are you the Aquaman?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to finish my beer, pal." And he's like, Could you take a photo with us?" And he's like, "What?" And you find out that these guys are fans of Aquaman.
Yep.
You know, because Aquaman and the Justice League doesn't have a name yet. They are not officially the Justice League. They were just a group of heroes that stopped the invasion of Steppenwolf.
Well, that was interesting because in the other movie with the Superman movie, they did have a bar fight where he had to take care of it. And I thought, oh, they're going to do this again.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Nope, they didn't.
I feel like this movie was just a lot of fun. Like, if you were just sad watching sad Superman, sad Justice League, sad, this one is, you're smiling a lot and going, whoa, a lot.
It keeps you to the edge of your seat because it feels like a fantasy epic. So, Mira comes, and she warns Aquaman that his half-brother Orm, or little baby brother Orm, is going to destroy the surface world. And he's like, psh, yeah, right. He's like, this doesn't concern me. She's like, it does concern you because you're the rightful heir. And he's like, so? I'm not going back to Atlantis because they killed my mother. And she's like, you don't understand our ways. He says, I don't need to understand. People murdered my mom.
Yeah.
Just for having me. He says, I don't care about Atlantis. I'm going to protect the surface. And not long after that, he's driving home with his dad. They're having like a heart-to-heart. And you see this massive tidal wave, you know, come. And Orm
my gosh,
basically used it as a warning to throw all the old World War II ships out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And all the trash and everything.
Yeah, it's like he like launched it up on the shores.
Yep,
Yeah.
he threw it right back at us.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And then like the news, the way that they portrayed the news in the movie was so like, I felt like it was so compelling. Like it almost like felt like, oh god, what would the news people say? Like they couldn't figure it out. They were trying to explain different ways. And then you have that other character that gets brought in where he seems crazy by talking about this land of Atlantis under the sea, like, and he has this theory and people think he's nuts. And they're just like, oh, this again. You know? But since he's a scientist, he's actually on there, and people are interviewing him because, you know, he's smart. So.
Yeah, so like Amber said, eventually Aquaman decides to go down to Atlantis, and I like how they did the origin stuff. Like, while Aquaman is swimming to Atlantis for the first time, which, again, in Justice League, he didn't go to Atlantis. He just goes to, like, some temple where, you know, he was trying to protect an artifact.
And he didn't think there was much to Atlantis, and neither did we.
Nope.
Like, everyone watching it is just like, oh, I thought it's just gonna be a bubble with a bunch of old statues, and there's just gonna be a bunch of people sitting, and there's gonna be somebody on the throne, and there's gonna be 20 people there.
It's but like a massive civilization.
Like, it's like, oh my gosh, like, the way that they did this, it was like, oh my gosh, if you guys haven't seen it, you have to go see it because it's amazing. Hopefully most people have who are watching this because
people were like gasping and stuff in the theater when they saw Atlantis. It was amazing.
And then I looked over at Luke. I was like, oh, I guess there's too much water here. I was like,
yeah,
because what is up with the critics? Like, the whole Aquaman lives under the water. What? How can there be too much water? So, like, oh my gosh, it just gave you an idea of this is like a whole, like, giant, not just like one city, but, you know, hundreds or millions of cities or whatever. Like, this is a mass...
There's 7 kingdoms.
Alright, 7 kingdoms, well, I'm just saying, like, these are cities all over the ocean floor, and they're, like, extremely advanced and colorful, and like,
they're more advanced than us.
Yeah, they just have all kinds of things going on under there.
But what I want to talk about, like, before he gets to Atlantis, how they do the origin for Aquaman is they show him, like, as he's swimming, they do little flashbacks, which is handled really well between him and William Dafoe, who is Volko, the aide. You remember from that Aquaman game we played. So the guy that looked like a Oompa Loompa clown from Atlantis was played by Volko.
And he did such a great job.
Yeah, he did great.
I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe he had such like a small role, but he made it so like heartwarming and not scary with a smile like he was with the Green Goblin.
I was actually waiting for him to betray people because he's William Dafoe and he usually plays villains.
But he was such a sweet, he was just so sincere.
He was like a surrogate dad in a way.
He was like Alfred!
Yeah, kind of.
He was.
He was kind of like Alfred.
He was, and he cared so much about Aquaman. Oh, and it seems like he cared about Orm too, because towards the end of the movie, even Orm remembered his kindness. You know.
Yeah, but we're getting too far ahead.
I'm skipping around.
Anyway, the whole premise of the movie is Aquaman is trying to find the Trident so that he can rule Atlantis, because without it, he won't be recognized by his people.
Yeah.
And the movie, which we kind of opened up about, Amber was right. Orm does defeat Aquaman after he arrives there, and they formulate this plan to find Atlan's Trident, which Aquaman is kind of like, I guess that's a good idea, but I could just go kick Orm's butt right now, because he was on a high from working with the Justice League and defeating Steppenwolf, so he's thinking he's untouchable. Now, Orm has been under the water and trained his entire life, and, you know, he is a magic caster as well, which I don't think Aquaman realized that. He's kind of like Mira, which is a, you know, hydrokinesis user, but not to the same extent. He needs to use his scepter and other things. So he pretty much tricks his brother Aquaman into having a duel with him, a duel to the death, to decide who will be the ruler of Atlantis. And, you know, they fight, and Aquaman ends up having his mother's trident destroyed, which, you know, was a, you know, soul-crushing blow for him. And Orm is about to destroy his brother, and Mira saves him, and then they become fugitives.
Yeah. And you don't even realize how bold that was of Mira until later on you find out that Mira is actually Orm's betrothed.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my gosh! Like,
she took sides!
Oh my gosh, she knew...
The fish metaphors.
She knew her fiance was going to destroy the world, so she went against him and her dad and all of Atlantis, and she kind of became like a fugitive to the point where they would kill her if she ever came back, pretty much, so that she could try to save the world, because I think that she believed in Aquaman, that he was the only person who could stop it. That's how cool Mira is. She's so cool. She has so much passion and heart, and I just really like Mira a lot. She's so cool in this movie, and I think her outfits are really cute too.
Alright, so anyway, Mira saves Aquaman, and they basically go to the surface world to find clues where the, I guess you would say, like, the heart, or the Trident of Atlantis is. And they first end up going to the Sahara, and she doesn't know our customs, so she jumps out of a plane without a parachute.
Yeah.
And while they're doing this stuff, Orm is also not really just sticking around waiting. You find out that he put a tracker on Mira, so that's how they're able to send, like, Black Manta and other people after them later. But they have, like, really cute stuff. Like, Aquaman starts to fall in love with her because he thinks she's completely insane, which she is.
He kind of likes that because he doesn't fit in, and now neither does Mira, really. Well, actually, Mira doesn't fit in on the surface land. She fits... Well, actually, she doesn't really fit in with Atlantis either, because Atlanteans want to kill everyone and destroy the world. You find out even her dad wants to. Finally, like, after a while, she doesn't realize it, but she finds out later he did want to. He really did want the war, too.
So anyway, when the film changes to, like, Indiana Jones, and they're searching for the Trident, they first go to Sahara, and they have that scene which you guys have seen from the trailer, and next they go to Sicily, where they get to play detective, using, like, this bottle that they got in, I guess an armory for where Atlan had, like, cities of Atlantis up in the surface world. Which, again, you see that all in the trailer. So, but in Italy, they are doing some stuff. They have some cute moments.
It's like they're on a date.
Yeah, kind of. And just after they found the location of where the Trident is, which is over in the area that's controlled by the Trench people, which you might have seen clips of that, people, but they're really creepy, like, demonic-looking things. They're attacked by Black Manta, who really looks like Black Manta now. He has used
oh my gosh,
Atlantean technology that he got from Orm to kill his brother. And Orm pretty much tells Black Manta that, you know, I'm going to give you my royal guard to go take them out, and they can't know that it was Atlantis that is trying to kill them. And he's like, that's fine as long as I get my revenge. So
Yeah.
he kind of re-engineers Atlantean tech, and it's a cool scene. Not going to spoil it too much, but you guys can watch it. It explains how Black Manta has like his beta rays and you know, his rocket boots and all this other stuff. It's all Atlantean technology. So you've probably seen the scene in the trailers where they're fighting. I won't really go into it too much, but it's an awesome fight scene. In the end, Aquaman gets injured, and Mira saves his life again.
It's a great fight scene.
It's an awesome fight scene. You have to watch it. And then they end up like on a boat that Mira stole because she just thinks that boats just sit there and, you know, they can take them.
But even during fight scenes and even during tense moments, they always throw in a little bit of comic relief in there.
Yeah.
Like, which I really like because it makes the movie really watchable. It's fun to watch. A lot of movies aren't fun to watch, especially DC movies are way too dark and not fun to watch. This movie's actually fun to watch.
It was a fun movie. So anyway, Mira and them arrive at the location that they saw in Sicily, and they're attacked by the people of the trench, and Aquaman shows that he's, you know, the son of a fisherman, like a lighthouse keeper. He uses, I guess, flares or something to ward off the creatures, and then after, it's a long scene. It's a pretty intense scene. So if you got like young children with you, maybe like hold their hand or something because it's
That's
pretty.
scary.
It's like horror movie. Like,
And they could have done it like really hokey, but it was scary.
it was terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was.
And then I thought like they definitely weren't gonna make it.
I thought
through.
somebody was gonna die. I did.
Oh my
But anyway,
gosh.
they end up being sucked into this like land before time area where there are dinosaurs roaming, and it's kind of like the core of the Earth, which is another Easter egg that they've set up for future DC movies, because there is
Yeah.
a lost world in the DC universe with dinosaurs
Oh,
at the core of
really?
the Earth.
Because-
Yup.
Never mind. I remember my mind was going somewhere completely else because, you know, never mind.
Nope.
That is one of the, you know, that's an actual, like, theory.
I know,
like,
but
that
we're
people
not
have,
we're
but
not getting
gonna
into
get
theories.
that.
We're just talking about
But that's
Aquaman.
really interesting that there's a core of the Earth with a lake in it. How cool is that in the DC universe?
Okay, so
okay.
anyway, inside this place, Mira is saved by, well, I'm just gonna say it, Aquaman's mom. She's alive, she wasn't executed. I said spoilers.
Yes!
So, Nicole Kidman, the girlfriend of Batman Forever, is alive and well. And they basically put Aquaman up to a test that he can be the only one to grab the Trident, which is there, and it's protected by Julie Andrews.
Yeah, can you believe that was the voice?
I didn't know.
Do you not feel like Nicole Kidman being at the center of the earth and her having the white hair and like her having survived all that time? Don't you feel like that was exactly what happened in Ant-Man? With Ant-Man's mom? It was like exactly the same.
It was a little, yeah.
It was exactly the same. I was just like, wait, are we watching Ant-Man now? Wait.
Well, I mean, that was from the New 52 comics, though.
Oh, okay.
The mother did survive for a while
Oh,
till she was
wow.
killed.
Okay, so it was comic book accurate. So it was the coincidence.
Right, so anyway, we see Aquaman finally get his classic costume after confronting the Kraken thing, which is a terrifying creature who's been apparently murdering people for thousands of years that have tried to claim the Trident.
Yeah.
And Aquaman is able to get the Trident because he can talk to fish.
And Julie Andrews picked the winning horse.
Yes, she did, because Aquaman is going to go on to win $1 billion, and Mary Poppins is struggling.
Yeah, that's because Julie Andrews isn't the lead.
She actually probably could have done it, but she can't sing anymore. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, Aquaman and everybody else returns to the surface world, or Atlantis, where Orm has pretty much been killing and taking over the four kingdoms of Atlantis.
Yes, not always by them agreeing for it.
Yeah, he did some pretty sneaky stuff.
It was shocking.
So he's fighting the creatures of the brine, or the whatever, and there's a massive war. And just as the king of the brine is about to be killed, Aquaman arrives with like an army of fish, and he's wearing the classic
Yay!
costume. It's an awesome fight. Don't want to spoil it. The entire fight is like probably 15 minutes or so. Really this massive ocean spectacle thing. And more or less, what happens is Orm's army's defeated, and when people see that Aquaman is not only commanding the creatures of the trench and all this stuff, he is also, like, rocking the Trident and King Atlan's armor, you know, so even during the battle, it's kind of like a Return of the King, Lord of the Rings thing, where people are swearing fealty to
like
the king.
Switching sides.
They're switching sides automatically and fighting each other. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
And then Orm and Arthur have a rematch on top of an Atlantean sub with the entire kingdoms watching it. And of course, Orm is defeated the same way that he beat his brother. I don't want to go into how he beats him because it's a great scene that harkens back to something that Volko teaches him. So you guys will have to see the movie for yourself. But Aquaman wins in a very cool way, and just like Orm destroyed his mother's trident, he not only like destroys his brother's trident, he like incinerates it when he breaks it in two. That shows the difference between, you know, King Atlan's trident, like the legendary trident, compared to the kings that have come after, like the stewards of Atlantis.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, like, crumbles.
Yeah.
And from that point on, Aquaman becomes the king of Atlantis, and as Mira at his side, unites his people, and he becomes the liaison between the surface world and, you know, the rest of the world.
Yeah. I'm getting like chills you even talking about it. It was such a great moment.
It's such a great movie. So there are two, not post-credit scenes, but they're mid-credits. And Amber already kind of talked about it, like, after the movie, Black Manta survived his encounter with Aquaman, which it actually looked like Aquaman killed Black Manta.
It did look like he died, and you didn't know. And there was no way to know, because it was the first movie with Black Manta, and you thought, well, maybe they just made him like the first villain, he got rid of him, then he goes after Orm. But it's like, so you had no idea if but then you told me Black Manta always survives while we were watching the movie. You were like,
he always has this nasty habit of living. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were like, he's gonna survive, and I have to say, before I watched the movie, I had no idea how powerful Black Manta's eye thingies were.
Well,
like,
it's re-engineered Atlantean technology to, like, deadly degrees.
And it burns Aquaman and almost kills him, but to normal people, it would just slice through them. Like, it's so powerful. He's, like, slicing through mountains and stuff with his eyes. Like, it is ridiculous. It's like, it's basically like you're using Dragon Ball Z powers. Like, it's crazy. Like, his eye power, this Atlantean technology is so... It's so powerful. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
And then in some, I guess, I still can't figure out if it, I think he's fully human, but I didn't know if...
I don't know.
If he is part Atlantean or not.
I mean, we might find out that, you know, Black Manta's, because, I mean, he takes some pretty, even with his Atlantean armor that he re-engineers, he takes some really big hits from Aquaman that would kill a normal person.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he seems
maybe
super powerful.
It seems like he's maybe half, but I don't know. So, anyway, the end of the movie, they set up that Aquaman is wearing his armor. He looks cool. You know, he has the respect of his people, and he's adjusting to his role as leader, which is going to be probably a pretty fun element for the sequel, which they are going to make a sequel. Aquaman is already close to $1 billion, and it's technically, it is the, well, I mean, it's 2019 now. We started playing this game at the end of the year.
Sorry.
But Black Manta is going to work with that crazy Atlantean archaeologist to prove that Atlantis is real, and he's probably going to do some pretty dark stuff, because Black Manta, he, like we said, he killed Aquaman's kid. The only thing I can think of that could tick off Aquaman in the next movie is if he either kills Volko or his mother.
Yeah.
So if Nicole Kidman comes back at the end of the movie, I mean, Aquaman is a movie with a lot of heart, and the love story, some could argue, yeah, it's between Aquaman and Mira, but in reality, the movie is about Nicole Kidman and the lighthouse keeper, who is not usually alive in the DC universe.
Yeah, oh, right, you're right.
So at the very end of the movie, she comes back to him. It's very sweet.
It's all, you know, like, I feel like such a great moment when Nicole Kidman shows Orm that she's alive, too.
Yep.
Like, wow. But yeah,
complete change, because Orm wasn't really evil because of choice. He had a very abusive father, the previous king of Atlantis, who killed his mother, or at least had her executed. She wasn't technically executed. And Orm loved his mother. Like, you know, his mother taught him like magic, and he taught Mira, and you know, they were all close. And then when it was discovered that she had Arthur on the surface, the King of Atlantis went crazy. But Nicole Kidman, she did a great job in this movie. I've never seen her do fight scenes. Like, she was always the damsel of distress in the Batman Forever movies.
I know.
And she really stepped it up. There's some great choreography, and a great, like, trailer that shows the difference between mother and son. Like, their fighting styles are very similar to each other. It was cool.
Definitely.
But all in all, I thought that the Aquaman movie was fantastic. It's probably my favorite movie of 2018. Originally, my favorite movie of 2018 was The Incredibles 2. Like, that kind of blew me away. There were some parts of The Incredibles 2 I didn't like, but there's very few things about Aquaman I didn't like. I wished they did maybe a Justice League Easter egg, but I understand why they're trying to distance themselves from Justice League. I thought that the origin stuff was handled pretty well for Aquaman, like the mini stuff they did.
I feel like they're setting it up for, like, people are saying they might set it up for a Wonder Woman crossover, because like their worlds go together so well, because they're all about the Greek mythology, and like they both believe in the same Greek mythology things, and you know, with Poseidon being actually King Atlan's dad and stuff, you know.
Yep, they're talking about that could happen. I think they're still going to go forward with Flashpoint though.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to have. I don't know what Jason Momoa is going to do. He doesn't like Flashpoint because of what it does to Aquaman, making him the bad guy.
Oh,
and pretty much that actor has played villain roles before, and he likes playing the hero.
He did such a great job, and I love. My favorite thing I think about the movie is that the fact that, you know, Mira says that she doesn't know what love is. She just does everything out of duty, and the fact that Aquaman doesn't fit in. There are two people that don't fit in,
and they fall in love.
It's like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even marry him really because he's the king. She just likes him for him, which is awesome. I just like that a lot. It's nice. Okay.
Yep. I really hope that in the next movie there's going to be like more of a Justice League thing. How I wanted the movie to end, I will tell you. Like, I really thought during the Black Manta scene that we were going to have Lex Luthor or Deathstroke show up and say that, oh, you got your butt kicked by Aquaman. We're forming a league of our own.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so cool. But we are going to see more Black Manta, because I think it's Black Manta versus Aquaman.
Yeah, that's going to be the next movie. But I really feel like the mother, or I don't think they're going to kill Mira, because Amber's contract is...
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard, yep. She has a couple movies with the DC universe.
Oh, okay. They can't kill Mira. Let's kill the mom.
Yeah, I would have to.
Somebody like, not Mira, please.
You would have to have. I mean, both Nicole Kidman and the father could be killed, which would drive Aquaman crazy.
I personally think they're gonna kill the baby.
I don't think they're going to get the baby until the third movie. But anyway, guys and gals, we loved Aquaman. We hope you see it. Happy New Year. Thanks so much for watching this very long review. If you want us to do... I don't know how we would do the Shazam one, because Shazam, he's not in this game.
Yeah.
Kind of lame.
Well, we could do Black Adam.
I know that the gameplay wasn't the best, but we had a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of the movie. Again, there were spoilers. In the comment section below, tell us what you liked about Aquaman and what you didn't, and how you feel about Aquaman, the guy that talks to fish, nearly getting $1 billion. These would be the third DC movie to do it.
Almost 900 million now. Of now.
As of right now, it's 800 million.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So it's by the end of the week, it'll probably be 900.
Well, it could be almost as much as a Batman movie. Oh my god.
Yeah. Batman is the only DC character to ever make like a $1 billion movie twice.
Okay.
Until now, yep. But anyway, God bless and happy gaming. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we hope you guys enjoyed this premiere. And yes, it was spoilers, but if you want to see more movie DC reviews like this, or other stuff, let us know. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you with something else later today. Bye-bye.
See